How we doing, working class people? Well, got up this morning at 3:30. Was out the house by 4:30. Was at work by 5:30. Didn't get off till after 6. Didn't get home till about 7:30. So basically, my day from 3:30 to 7:30 was nothing but work. So when you actually look at the math, do the math on that, and you'll come up with about 16 hours just in my work day. Now, take it, part of that was getting ready, driving there and driving home, but it still took up 16 hours of my day. When you look at that and you look at how much time the American working class people put into their jobs, it makes absolutely no sense that we have no voice and no say in what goes on in this country anymore. We have bureaucrats on Capitol Hill that don't give a damn about us. The Democrats, they have nothing good. They have nothing that they're going to try to do for the American working class. The Republicans are cowards. They're spineless. These days, they do not even have it in them to stand up and fight for the rule of law, to stand up and fight for the Constitution. They don't have it in them. And it makes me sick to my stomach. We've got 40-year bureaucrats on Capitol Hill, 40-year career politicians, I guess is the proper terminology there. And these career politicians have made millions upon millions of dollars by selling us out. They sold us out to China. They've sold us out to the European Union. They've sold us out basically every chance they got. They sold us out to the workers' unions. They sold us out to, every pet project that came along that could make them $1, they sold us out. The middle class used to be very big in this country. During the 60s, 70s, the middle class was the predominant class. Because of the bullshit politics, the social programs, and everything else that cuts into the middle class being able to stay middle class, the middle class is dying off. People aren't talking about that. You never will hear it because they don't want you to hear it. They want to continue with all the fake narratives, all the lies, basically. It's a shame that our country has fallen to where it has fallen. Once the greatest nation on earth. We've ended slavery around the world, except for in Africa and some of the Mid-Eastern countries. They still practice some forms of slavery. But the United States played a huge role in ending slavery. We fought countless world wars when the Germans were actually trying to annihilate the whole Jewish race. That was a Holocaust. That was actually evil, going after people because of their race. That being said, what do we got right now? Well, we've got an entire working class of people who actually support and pay for everything in this country. We pay all the bills. When you think about that and you put that in that context, think about your home, okay? You pay all the bills in your home. Are you going to allow someone to come in your home and tell you how you're going to run your home when you pay all the bills there? Are you going to allow someone to come in your home and start vandalizing and destroying things? What we have to do is we have to start looking at this country as our homes. We pay the bills in this home of a country of ours. And when I say we, I'm talking about the American working class people, citizens, taxpayers. We pay for this country. We pay the government salary. We pay for all the social programs. We pay for all the schools. We pay for the roads. We pay for everything. There is nothing the government does. They have no money without us. The bureaucrats on Capitol Hill are there to serve the American people. So if they're not serving the American people, what good are they doing us? The Democrats have went so far left into the socialist field that their only goal at this point is power. They want big government. They want control. And if we're not very careful, they'll get it. Joe Biden can barely string together a freaking sentence. He stays locked in his basement all day. He can't finish a thought, but they have propped him up, and they are hoping that he can ride off Obama's coattails, secure the black vote, and actually win the election. That would be a nightmare for this country. A complete nightmare. And the reason I say that would be a nightmare is because of the policies, okay? You would have universal health care, universal housing, universal income. You would have the Green New Deal. You would have thousands of rules that came one after another for the American working class people. But the elites, they're not going to follow those rules. They will tell you, hey, you don't need your Second Amendment rights. We're going to protect you. And then defund the police department and let mob rule the society. Do away with the rule of law after they've taken your weapons, after they can control you. They will tell you, you don't need to leave a carbon footprint. You don't need to get in your car and take a vacation. The earth cannot handle that. Then they'll get on their private jet and they'll fly across the country. They're hypocrites. That is my major problem with the Democratic Party. They are hypocrites. Their policies are horrible. They use lies and deceit to try to twist the facts. Not only are they trying to twist the facts, they're trying to manipulate people. And that is the largest thing I have against them, I think, because they do try to manipulate people in the manner that they do. It's like, take for instance, let's say Second Amendment. They'll tell you they need to ban semi-automatics. They'll tell you we have assault weapons, weapons of war. Well, this is a semi-automatic pistol. This is actually my carry pistol. I prefer it because it's lightweight, very reliable, very accurate, gets the job done. This is another semi-automatic pistol. I call it my nightstand pistol. This is what I keep handy around the house in case, my home was invaded. I could get the job done with just a pistol. This is it. Glock 19X, great pistol. I do have a 1000 lumen light on it, good for blinding people. Good for showing so that you can see your way. This is a semi-automatic weapon. They want to ban it. One of my other smaller weapons, 5.56 223 Springfield Edge. Great gun. You might ask, what would I use this for? This is what I would use if either there was civil unrest or the government became tyrannical and I had to fight my way to the location where my larger guns that I would use in the event of total tyranny and war, I would fight my way. I would use this weapon right here to fight my way to where my larger weapons are. This is what this gun is for. It is not to hunt with. It is not to defend your home with. It is in the event of tyranny or civil unrest, and you have to fight your way out of there. It's a semi-automatic weapon. They're not assault weapons. Assault weapons, 3-round burst, fully automatic, that's an assault weapon. This is not an assault weapon. But it's one more lie that the Democratic Party will tell you. Now, they're not going to talk about the fact that Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country and has the worst shooting rate in the country. You know why? Law-abiding citizens, we follow the law. Our guns are legal, we can own them. Criminals don't. When you start disarming the population, the only people you're going to disarm, law-abiding Americans. Americans that work 70 hours a week. Americans that have the right to possess this, according to the Constitution. I get so fed up with hearing them say, guns are the problem. Guns are not the problem. People are the problem, not guns. Just like in 1,000 other scenarios. That's one major lie that the Democratic Party and the lefty lunatics will tell you. The hypocrisy and the ways that they use lies and false narratives to control people. At this point in time, the Democrats are for the criminals. They're not for the American working class people. They don't even pretend to be for the working class people anymore. They don't pretend to be for the middle class anymore. They are about power. Big government control power. That's what they want. And they'll get it by any means necessary. Now, when we talk about the Democrats, and I know what you're thinking, oh, he's just going to bash the Democrats. No, I got a Republican video too, and I will talk about them cowards later. But what I'm going to start with is the 30-year bureaucrats in the Democratic Party, the history of the Democratic Party, and how terrible it has actually been for all Americans, but in particular for Black Americans. People have seemed to have forgotten that the Democratic Party was the party of slavery. They have forgotten that the Democratic Party was the party of Jim Crow, the party of segregation, the party that destroyed Black Wall Street. They have forgotten that the Democrats, just not too long ago, 2010, honored a man named Robert Byrd. Robert Byrd was a senator who was also a Grand Dragon in the Ku Klux Klan. 2010, President Obama and Bill Clinton spoke at his funeral. Hillary Clinton said that he was one of her role models. The Democratic Party has been racist for hundreds of years, but they've got real good at lying to America. It's called projection. They project that the Republicans are the racists. Now, trust me, I got my beefs with the Republicans, but the Republican Party is not the racist. The Republican Party was actually formed not only by whites, but by freed slaves. Now, when you talk about the Democratic Socialist Party, you have to look at the people in the Socialist Party. You have to look at people like Chuck Schumer. He's a spineless bureaucrat. You have to look at people like Nancy Pelosi, who has no touch with reality when it comes to the common, everyday, working class citizen. You have to look at people like AOC, who is a socialist. She's a bartender, okay? I don't know how in the world we voted a bartender into Congress like she has the good gumption and common sense to be running the country, because she doesn't. The policies that she talks about, the Green New Deal, things like that, are ludicrous. They're stupid. I mean, they have one set of rules for themselves and then one set of rules for us. And I'm going to get into some of the lies, hypocrisy, and rules. That being said, I'm just going to go ahead and start dropping some truth bombs here. One of the biggest things that the Democratic Party do is projection. 9 times out of 10, what they're accusing everybody else of, they're doing. It's been proven over and over throughout history. There's plenty of examples. And it's to the point that if someone can't recognize the hypocrisy, then they're just either A, not using their head, B, they don't have good common sense, or C, they're just so blinded by political, well, let's just call it politics, not political. They're blinded by a political agenda. So I'm going to get into some of the lies now. So the Democratic Socialist Party will tell you that guns are a problem in this country. Not that people are a problem, that guns are a problem. They will tell you do not need guns. The police will protect you, but as of right now, they're trying to defund the police. And any instance where I've ever seen police called, you're dead by the time you wait on them to get to you. So while they hide behind their armed security guards, they expect you to just stand there and hope for the best. Working class people don't have to put up with that. You have a Second Amendment right, and as long as you're a law-abiding citizen and you're doing what you're supposed to, that Second Amendment right covers you to have firearms. Use their narrative to create chaos. Their narrative to pit American against American based on things like skin color, difference in beliefs, things like that. You know, there's a lot of people who I don't believe the same thing they believe, but when we do get together and we talk, you know, they talk about their side, I talk about my side. We debate a little bit. Sometimes I kind of see their points, and I kind of might even lean their way a little bit. Sometimes they see my points and lean my way a little bit. That's healthy debate. That's how the country's supposed to be. With the Democratic Socialist Party, there is no debate. If they cannot talk to you with reason and cannot defeat your argument based on facts, they resort to violence. If they cannot do that because, you know, maybe they can't resort to violence with you because they just obviously can't take you on. Well, at that point, they call you a racist. Are there racists in this country? I'm sure. Do I know any? No, not one. And I live in the Deep South. I'm 41 years old. During the course of my lifetime, I've met 2 actual racists. Racism is not the problem they make it out to be. It's just one more lie. So let's get on to lie number 2. Lie number 2, cops are hunting innocent black men. That is a total fabricated lie. The numbers don't reflect that. I can go deeper into the numbers. Probably not going to do that right now. If somebody wants me to do that, leave comments in the video. Leave comments and I'll do that. But I will tell you this. Since Barack Obama, under President Trump, there has been an 80% drop in the killings of unarmed African American males. Unarmed white American males are actually being killed at double the rate by the police that African Americans are. So this narrative is false. Police are not out hunting black Americans. It's just a false narrative. The same with systemic racism and white privilege. There was a time that there was systemic racism. It was brought on by the Democratic Party. That's whenever they destroyed Black Wall Street. That's during the era of the Jim Crow laws and segregation. All of that was Democratic policies. The 1994 Clinton Crime Initiative. That was a Democrat bill that put a whole generation of black men in prison. But nobody talks about that. Instead, they project. They project on the Republican Party. They project on conservatives, and they say, we're the racists. That's what they say. Just because we don't agree, and just because we speak up. My dad was a military man, and he always taught me it's better to die fighting on your feet for your beliefs than die on your knees, begging and whimpering like a coward. Those words have stuck with me my whole life. I've always stood up for what I thought's right. I don't back down. I don't run. I'm not going to get on my knees. During all of this civil unrest, I saw politicians, I saw community leaders, I saw police officers, bureaucrat after bureaucrat after bureaucrat, getting on their knees before criminals and thugs. This is unacceptable. It's not acceptable in society. It's definitely not acceptable for the working class people to pay for everything. When it comes to socialism, right now, the working class people pay, I think, 23% of their paychecks out in taxes. Some a little more, I guess, depending on how many children you have, don't have. Myself, I know about 20,000 comes out. I'll be lucky to get 3 of that back. It's just the way it is. So, I might have 17,000 go towards taxes, while Joe Blow up the street, decided he wanted to work at McDonald's, get high all day, not take care of any of his responsibilities, and at the end of the year, get back $8,000 because he's got 5 kids he doesn't take care of. That's not right. That's redistribution of my money and your money if you're a working class person. The problem is, at this point, we've sat back and kept our mouths shut. We are too busy working 70 hours a week to talk about these things. So, the second lie is just basically about creating the civil unrest and creating the mobs. They do this intentionally, especially on election years. They will do it to try to create a narrative that's not there because they want the black vote. After they get the black vote, they don't do anything to help the black communities. President Trump has done more in 3 years to help black communities than President Obama did in 8 years. It's facts, it's numbers, and if you take the time to investigate it for yourself and quit going off what the liberal media tells you, you can see that. And that's one of my biggest gripes with the Democratic Socialist Party. Part of it is just the Socialist Party itself. They believe in things like universal health care. They believe in things like universal pay. They believe in things like universal housing. All of these things that they believe in, they can't pay for it. The American working class person pays for it. We are not here to earn a living to pay for everybody else but our families. When I go to work and I'm earning a living, it's to pay for my family. It's to do for my family. It's not to give all my money away so that other people who don't apply themselves and don't work as hard as I do can go and take part of my money so they can live a better life. If they want a better life, I suggest they get up, get a job, because the jobs are out there. I hear all the time, well, I can't get a job. Well, that's not true. Out of the major companies that I've been inside management with, we always get in groups of people. And it might be a group of 15. It might be a group of 25. Say I get in a group of 25. Out of that 25, I may retain 5 because people don't want to work the hours. You know, I work 70 hours a week. I don't feel like if I can work 70 hours a week, well, the next person can work 70 hours a week. The fact of the matter is you don't start off on top. You have to go in an entry-level position. I spent 12 years on night shift. That 12 years I was on night shift, I missed time with my family. I missed sporting events. I missed, all the good things that people get to go to with their children. But I had to do that to earn a living. I had to do that to put myself in a position to where whenever I got a little older, I could get on a better shift. I could spend more time at home. And that's what people have to be willing to do. Today, people come in, and if they don't like the hours, they quit. If they don't feel like they want to work that hard, they just quit. Every job's hard when you first start. If you don't know the job and your body's not physically used to doing the job, it's going to be hard. Stick with it. Put forth some effort. But there's jobs out there. There's a lot of jobs out there. I see it all the time. Companies hiring. Yes, it's entry level. But you know what? If you don't got nothing else, you go into those entry-level positions and you work your way up. That's the way it works. You can't say because you don't want to apply yourself that the country is holding you down. It's absolutely not true. Now, that's a lie that just really irritates the hell out of me because if I can work and get myself where I'm at, everybody else can. The narratives that they put forth are all for a reason. I do not like the Democratic Party for these reasons. Working class Americans really need to come together. We need to raise up our voices. We have First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. These days, I know, trust me, it's very scary. I understand completely that a lot of people are afraid to raise up that voice, to say, hey, wait a minute, that's not right. That's a lie. That's not true. If you do that, a lot of times you're persecuted for it. They will go so far as to try to get you fired from your job because you have a different belief than they do. That's a piss poor American. That's exactly what that is. It's a piss poor excuse for a human being if they will try to get you fired from your job and take away your livelihood because you have a different opinion than they do. But that is the world we live in today. So at this point, we live in a society that is, the rule of law is gone. Mob rule has taken over. Pretty much, bureaucrats in our government are on their knees. The only thing they care about is A, getting elected, and B, how much money they can stuff in their pockets. And they're doing all of it off the backs of the working class. Now, we can either stand there and take it, or we can organize and fight back. And when I say fight back, I'm not speaking of any kind of violence. Working class Americans are the largest voting bloc in the country. The majority of working class Americans just want to earn a good living, be able to support their families, and enjoy their lives. Maybe take a vacation here and there. Have a nice home, drive nice vehicles with good warranties, because obviously we don't get what we pay for anymore, that's for sure. We want to be able to get home, spend some time with our families. Are we willing to work 70 hours a week? Yeah, we're willing to. We might need the extra money. We might have to do it. Not because we're living beyond our means, because we're giving away so much of our money. And when you take that and you take the socialist agenda that they're throwing out there, You know, just say the Green New Deal, for instance. They want to do away with the energy industry in this country. That's crazy. That puts so many Americans out of jobs. They want to do away with automobiles for regular citizens. See, they don't live by the same rules as us. They have their armed security, they have their private planes, they have things like that. They've set up a dual justice system. They've set up dual laws. By setting all this up, they are walking us straight down to a path of destruction. Look at the new little autonomous zone they set up in Seattle. And think about this. Think about the hypocrisy of this. These are the same people that will tell you our country needs no borders, yet as soon as they took control, they set up borders. Same people that will say American citizens do not need firearms. Well, as soon as they got the borders set up, they got their firearms. They're the same people that will tell you we do not need police, but yet they formed kind of a makeshift police to stop and frisk people. That's how they were doing it. They were stopping and frisking people. They were there in protest of black Americans being killed by so-called police. And over the past weekend, what they do? Kill black Americans. The hypocrisy of these people has no bounds. There are no limits to it. This is why I'm speaking out. This is why I'm trying to reach others like me. Okay? We've worked too hard to build a life, to let others take it from us. I've worked too hard to try to build a savings account, to try to, and do the right things. That's the part that everybody misses. You start working when you're 18 years old, 20 years old, whatever, and you work 20 years, and during that 20 years, you're trying to acquire assets, you're trying to support a family, and you're trying to build a future. Why should I give all that up to someone else who has not applied themselves and done it? I'm not going to. Most Americans will not give it up, which is why it is so important that we keep these bureaucrats and hypocrites out of power. We need to get the House back to the Republican side. And as I said, Republicans are cowards. I do not care for the spineless Republicans we have in office. But I will say this. They are closer to what the Constitution says at the moment. And I will also say this. Because of Trump's leadership, we're doing great things. The economy is strong. It's very strong. Everybody is getting an equal shot out there at making a living and doing things. The black unemployment was at the lowest ever. The Latino unemployment was at the lowest since it started being tracked. White unemployment was at the lowest. It's not a matter of race. It's a matter of whether or not you're willing to apply and work. I don't know whether I'll be able to reach anybody. I am trying. I've been trying, and I'm going to keep trying because we're in a position, and I truly believe in my heart right now that we are in a position where if the American working class does not come together and try to fight this, we will be destroyed. There will be no middle class. They will take everything we have, redistribute it to somebody that doesn't have because they haven't applied themselves. And at that point, what's the point? They will try to come for our guns. In essence, I do believe if the Socialist Party gets control, we will wind up in war because Americans aren't going for that. It's been proven throughout history that we will not go for that. You know, I get up every day, I say my prayers, and yes, I do hold on to my Constitution, my Bible, and my guns. Yes, I do. I'm one of those guys. I think I've been called deplorable by Hillary Clinton and a bad person by Joe Biden. I've never broken a law. I don't break laws. The criminals who are out here breaking laws right now are being exalted. You cannot run the society like this. You just cannot do it. We're demonizing our police, our men and women out there in uniform. God bless you. You're working so hard to get this job done and to protect people. And because of a couple bad apples, they want to come down and act like every police officer out there is a racist, and just out there just doing terrible things to people, and they're not. That's not at all the case. Most police officers have positive interactions with people, but they won't tell you that. When you take away the law in the society, it breaks down very, very quickly. And we got to get in front of this, folks. If we do not get in front of this, we will regret it. And we don't have long. The election's in like 135 days. We just don't have long at this point. We've got to really get out there. We've got to say what we mean. And we've got to try to get this thing through. I'm praying every day for this country. I'm praying for the people around me. And I'm praying that we, as a group, as a collective group, the people who support this country and pay all the bills, can get together and make a difference. If not, they'll take everything from us because it doesn't hurt them. One last thing, I'm just going to close with this. Too many times I'm talking to people and they give me some BS statement that the liberal media made. And I say, well, when was that done? Show me. Well, it was done. Well, how do you know? Because the news said. Well, the news lies. They twist the truth. They create the narrative they want to because they are part of that elite class. I tend to do all of my own research. I don't take nobody's word on it. I hear something, I start looking, I start digging, I start trying to figure out what really went on. And I continue to do that day in and day out. And what I'm finding, and what I've been finding for the last 3.5 to 5 years, is the only thing we get from basically an extension of the Democratic Party is lies, partial truths, doctored video footage, and more lies. We do not get the truth from them. They're manipulating us. At this point, I personally believe we should come together. We should get rid of the Democrats, vote them out of office. We should get rid of the spineless Republicans because they're out there. There's many of them. They're establishment Republicans, rhino Republicans, and you've got your Warhawk Republicans. They all need to go. Most of them have been on Capitol Hill well worth their worth. Well longer than they're worth. And if we don't get them out as well, they'll keep destroying this country. So the Republicans, every 2 to 4 years, they go after the conservative vote. They go after the Christian vote. And what they do, same thing the Democratic Party does with the black vote. They lie. They play a role. They play a character. And then once they're elected, that character goes out the door. Then at that point, they just do what they want to till 2-4 years later. Then they play that character again. The part that really bothers me is that America's dumb enough to fall for it. Have we really gotten to the point where we are so lazy to look into something ourselves, or we're just so high because, we're legalizing weed all the way across the country. So, maybe people are just too high so they can be controlled. I don't really know the answer. The only thing I do know is we have two parties that are destroying the country, and if we all unite and vote them out and vote in blue collar, regular working class people into those jobs, into the Senate, into the House, we get the Ivy League elite class out of there, and we will make a difference. We will make changes. Lots of people won't agree with what I say, but I'm going to keep saying it. And I appreciate you listening. Hit that subscribe button, share. If you got any suggestions, comments, let me know. I'd like to hear some feedback. I'd like to know what I can do to make this a better experience for people. Because like I say, I'm just trying to educate. I'm trying to get knowledge out there. And I want to get that knowledge out to the working class people as quickly as possible before we don't have a working class. Thank you.